Good morning, everyone. My name is Aditya Ausat, and I'm going to explain a few topics in data analysis. So, the first topic or the first question is data wrangling. So, what is data wrangling? Data wrangling is basically the process of cleaning and structuring the data. Data wrangling helps in producing results more quickly and more accurate results, and it helps making decisions in further code or in predictions more accurately. Then methods of data wrangling. So there are few methods which we use for data wrangling. They are mean removal, scaling, normalization, and binarization. So in mean removal, what we do is we calculate the mean of each feature and then remove it so that remove it from each feature so that feature are centered on zero. Then next what is scaling? So scaling is basically, I'll be explaining it in pink. So if if there is an institution which grades students from 0 to 100 percentage, this is in percentage, and there is another institution which grades in CGPA, which is in 0 to 10, and there is another third institution which grades students in 0 to 5 CGPA. But what if we want to predict which student of each institution is good? I mean, if we want to compare, then our model will simply say if the student has 90 percentage, he is better than the student in the institution which has 9 CGP. But that's not the case. For our model, these are just numbers. We cannot input that this is CGPA and this is percentage. So what we do is we scale these values. I mean, we either scale it with respect to some with respect to themselves or with respect to one another feature, or we just give a standard range. So in this case, to solve this problem in this case, we'll just scale these two with respect to 0 to 10 scale. So for scaling, we'll just multiply 5 into 2. I mean, this scale will be scaled to this. So the student who scored CGPA 5, if you want to compare it to this student who scored the CGPA 10, our model will simply multiply the score the student got here into 2, and then the comparison will be done fairly and the outputs will be correct. And in this case, we'll just simply divide it by 10. So every input from this feature would be divided by 10, and this feature would be multiplied by 2, and then the comparison would be done more accurately. Then normalization. So what is normalization? So next concept are is normalization. So basically normalization, why we do normalization is for so normalization. Wait. Yeah. So we do normalization because suppose in this case we have suppose normalization is done when there is a large variation in the values of different attributes in a data set. So for suppose we have three attributes: length, breadth, and height. So suppose length varies from 160 to 60, for example. Breadth varies from 30 to 10, and height varies from 500 to 200. These now in this case, these all have the same unit. Suppose centimeter, feet, or meters, anything. It can be anything. But now if we try to put these values in a feature, what happens is this difference is so large. So the predictions uh, or the purpose of our model will not be satisfied efficiently. The results might get affected due to that. So what we do is we sometimes use the formula called as x nu. So what we do is we now want to normalize these ranges to a certain thing. So sometimes we use is x new is equals to x old upon x max. So what happens is if we use this formula for length, then 60 gets divided by 160 and 160 gets divided by 160. So every value in this gets between the range of 0 to 1. Similarly for this, 30 gets divided by 30, 10 gets divided by 30. So every value in this attribute also gets between 0 to 1, and same for this, which makes them comparable and makes our model more efficient. So these were the two concepts of mean removal. First was mean removal, then scaling, normalization, and binarization. So in binarization we used to classify data in just two categories. So if we want to classify the data in suppose if we have a data of height, and we want to classify it in short height and average height. So we have defined the threshold at 5.4 feet, for example. Then what we do is we set the threshold at 5.4, and what we tell our program is the values or the heights which are above 5.4, put them in average height. So those values get assigned to the average heights, and in binarization they get assigned to 1, and below 5.4 they get assigned to 0, which we have as a short height. So this was the concept of binarization. Let me move to the code execution. So yeah, here it is, the code execution. So what we have done here is we have imported NumPy as NP, and from sklearn library we have imported preprocessing. Here we have defined the array. And why we have imported NumPy as NP? Because every time it's tedious to write the whole NumPy, and then so that's why we have just imported it as a short form, which is the standard short form as NP. So after running this, let's just run all. So now here we have used the mean removal method, and we have set the axis to 0. So now we can see that the mean of this is been calculated here, the mean of this is been calculated here, and the mean of this is been calculated here. So this is the main removal method. Then moving on to the feature scaling. So we have done feature scaling here using preprocessing model. Though here we have not initialized with respect to some scale, but which was indeed hard for us to determine by looking at the values. So we can do is we can provide our own feature range, which we have here provided from 0 to 1. So we can see here that every value in this arrays are set from 0 to 1 only. No value crosses that range. So therefore, our data is being scaled. Now the normalization, as we can see here, we have used normalization, and we have set non is equals to L1, and then again binarization. So we have used the concept of binarization, and we have set the threshold of 1.4. So we can see that the values above 1.4. So here the value of the first element of array was 3, which is indeed greater than 1.4. So the value is set to 1, and then the second element was minus 1.5, which is in turn less than 1.4, so it is assigned to 0. So this was the concept of data wrangling. Let's just move to the second question. So data validation. What is data validation? Data validation means checking the accuracy and quality of data source before using and importing the data. So what this means is, if we have a data set, we need to check what kind of data it contains, what is the quality of data, are there any null values or missing values, or are there any duplicate values, and if yes, how many duplicates values are there. This basically helps us in making some better decisions on how to use the data in further process. So the methods which we use for okay, let's see why we use data validation. So data validation gives us a better clarity and details of the data, which improves the accuracy of our project, or it helps in lessening the defects in our project. And without doing the without doing validation of data, we can run into the risk of making decisions which may lead to uh, not so accurate models, or some imperfections in it. So the next are methods of validation. So methods of validation are data type check, range check, consistency check, format check, uniqueness check, and code check. So what is a data type check? So we can the data type check we can explain as an example. So if on a site we are inputting some numbers, or students have to fill their exam seat number in a site, and if accidentally they put a character instead of a number, obviously the exam seat number, if the exam seat number input takes only integers and not other character, and if user by mistake inputs a character, then the input is not taken. So thus the data type check is valid. And if also user inputs a point and basically tries to get the number into the float, that also does not happen. Uh, or if any special characters gets inserted by mistake, so that also is not accepted as input by that particular web page or something. So that is the data type check. Then the range check is basically we see the if the desired input of if the input given by the user is in the desired range, or is in the accepted range or not. And then the format check. The simple example of format check we can say is when we are inputting our birth date somewhere. So sometimes some platforms have DD, MM, and YY format, and some sites have YY, MM, and DD format. So if the format is YY, MM, and DD, then we will not be able to input just two integers, or the just two digits in the YYY column. We have to input the whole four digits, the whole year of the birth. So basically, if we try to do anything else in that format, it won't happen. Then the uniqueness check. Uniqueness check is basically to check uh, whether the data points are the data points are missing, or data points are duplicated, or the values are duplicated in a particular instance. And then there is code check. Code check, the simple example of code check is, suppose we are trying to check the delivery status at our address. And if we put our PIN code number, and if it is not available at it is and if the delivery is not possible at that particular address, so basically we get a prompt that delivery is, or we get a message, a kind of error message, we can say, that delivery is not possible. So basically that is code check. It checks the code if it satisfies the criteria of delivering. So basically we can say that uh, delivering has a list of other pin codes, and the pin code which we gave as an input was not there. So basically delivery was not possible. So that we can say comes under code check. So my next topic is, yeah, so my next topic is the code. So yeah, my topic was data handling, and handling the missing data and importing the libraries which are needed for it. So the libraries needed for data handling are basically NumPy, Pandas, sklearn input, sklearn pre-processing, sklearn model selection, and sklearn pre-processing. We'll shortly see why we need all these libraries. So what I've done here is I've imported a data set from GitHub, and I have stored it in a URL, in a variable called URL, and then I have read that file using PD, which is imported as pandas, or pandas imported as PD. So I've I have used the read underscore CSV function, and as a parameter I have passed this variable which was defined as this URL. Then what we are doing here is handling the missing data and replacing the values with NaN from NumPy, and replace them all with mean. So why we replace the missing values with mean? Cause it's the best way to not get further results affected. If we input just some random values in the place of missing values, then our data might not be that good for further process such as training and testing a particular, suppose like machine learning model. So the best what we do is we use the strategy mean, and we fill the missing places with the mean of whole data. So this is why we handle this is how we handle missing data. And then we have split the data into train and test. So why we do train and test? If you want to train our if you want to train our ML model, then mostly we use this train and test. So here are two types of variables: independent and dependent. Independent variable, they don't get affected by changing each other's values or attributes, we can say. But the dependent variable gets affected due to the change in independent variables. So, and as we can see here, the test size is 2.0.2. It signifies that 20% of that data we are using it for testing, and thus the 80% for training. The major part we have for training is the more we train our model, the better it gets. So but as we also have to do testing to see what kind of accuracy we have, so we cannot just use 99% data for training and 1% for testing. That would work out, because we will not be able to judge what kind of accuracy our model is giving us. And then there is basically feature scaling, which I explained in data validation why we do it. So yeah, so this was the third part of it. And then the last part, in data analysis, I'm going to explain what is EDA. EDA is explanatory data analysis. Basically, EDA is very essential and primary part of data analysis. EDA allows us to view the data in our perspective. I mean, what we want to see. If you want to see the names of columns, we can use different functions available for that. If you want to rename the columns, we can do that. If you want to see what kind of data a particular column has, what type of data a particular column has, if there is some missing data, if there are some duplication in that data, we can do all that. We can do sorting, we can do splitting of data, we can see how data is how we can see the behavior of data using some visualization libraries as well. And this all comes under explanatory data analysis, which is EDA. Why EDA is important? The main purpose of EDA is to help look at data before making any assumptions. So before moving forward to developing any further code or developing any further model, may it be regression model, classification model, KNN, anything, before doing that, we need to do EDA to see what kind of data we have, what kind of pattern our data shows, and what kind of anomalous events are present in that data. Then how EDA is used. So EDA is used basically by importing data sets, identifying the number of features or columns, identifying the data type of the feature and number of observations. So I have the EDA code as well. Let me show it. So what I have done here is I have imported Titanic dataset from GitHub, as obviously. Now, moving forward. So what we have done here is, we can see, as we can see here, I have imported all the basic models such as NumPy as NP, Pandas as PD, then Pandas profiling, Matplotlib, Seaborn as SNS, and subprocess import checkout. So as you can see here, I have imported this dataset from GitHub link, and we can view this dataset by we can view the first few rows of this dataset, that is first 5 rows of the dataset, using this function called as dot head. So basically, if so as we can see here, I have assigned this dataset to a variable called as Titanic data, and Titanic underscore data dot head gives us the first 5 rows. So why we do that is, we do this for getting the idea of how our data looks. By looking, we can say that name has string inputs, then age has int inputs, then the gender column has two string inputs such as male and female, which can be used as a which can be dealt as a classification problem. Then here we have here what we have done is we have renamed the column. So renaming a column is nothing but for our own convenience. Renaming We rename the column for our own convenience. Then what we have done here is we have used the function called dot shape. So we use dot shape because we want to see how many rows and columns a dataset have, that might be useful in reshaping or getting the data in further code. And also we have seen here what kind of columns we have, what are the names of columns, by using dot column function. And dot info function basically gives us information of every column, how many null values it have, and what kind of data type it has. So as we can see here, for example, the survived column, I mean the data of survived people, has 189 non-null values, and its data type is integer. So as we can see here we have used the dot describe function as well, and we have used the dot histogram to plot various functions. So we can see here that passenger IDs, survived people. So it's basically the visualized data, or visualized data which is available in histogram for better understanding. Now we are trying to get value or count of people who have survived or who have not survived. So that we are doing using this few methods, or the function called as value count. Then we have used also, if you want to see what age or what group of age had how many people. So here we have simply used dot cut function, and we have given the input as age, and we have inputted the parameter bins with you can say a list of numbers. It is basically a list of It is basically a list of A. So what bins does is it cuts the function from 0 to 15 and then 15 to 25, and then it gives the value count. So basically what we have is here we have the data of 0 to 15 age group people. So we can see there were 83 people, and 15 to 25 there were 218 people, 25 to 40 there were 263 people. So like that. So basically this is ADA, which is explanatory data analysis. It is used to sort the data, see what kind of data we have, get the value counts of particular variable. So this was my whole data analysis lab. Thank you for viewing my presentation and code.